All right. Good morning, everybody. Just give me 1 second here. I want to see all your beautiful, shining faces. All right. Hey, great to be with you. And boy, I'll tell you, it is good to be back at it. I know we had a little bit of a holiday. I know some of you worked. In fact, I drove by just the Salt Lake City office and here in Union Park, and a lot of good things were happening. But hey, today is one of those days where you start recognizing as we're moving in, here we are nearly 45 days after the first of the year, and you start recognizing and realizing that many of us set goals, objectives, resolutions, and all of these different factors that are going to drive and move your life. And the challenge with that is you can look at all the percentages and the stats in regards to this, but let's just put it in simple terms. A tremendous amount of people, a large amount of people by this moment have basically completely either given up on their dreams and goals for 2021. They've stopped paying attention to them. They've gone back to their way of eating. They've gone back to their way of non-exercise or a little bit of exercise. They've gone back to the way in which their relationships were, or they've given up from that standpoint. And of course, they've gone back to their status quo in regards to business. I want you just to ask yourself just a simple question that has really been an important one for a lot of my career. I can remember, in fact, I can see the street right over here. And it was one day when I was driving down a street just called 1300 East. If you're in Salt Lake City, you know where that is. And I was just driving down the street, and I remember this question came into my mind. And it was this: what got me to this point? Now, that was an interesting question for me back in that day. And it was several years ago, because what I was reflecting upon was not all the great things that were going on in my life. What I was reflecting upon, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but what I was reflecting on was all the difficult moments that were going on in my life. The moments of disappointment, the difficulty of those days. And I was thinking about business, and I was thinking about relationships and marriage and being a dad and my health and the business and the company and all of these different aspects of life. And I just remember the statement came into my mind, and that is what got me to this point? Now, if you've been around me long enough and we've spent some time together, you've probably heard me ask you that question. You may have heard me ask you in one of our summits or one of our elevates and the different things that we do. But I want to ask it again. If you start looking at your life right now from a place of just some deep reflection, and you look at where you are in regards to those three important pillars of our lives, the relationships in our lives, the personal health and vitality of our lives, and of course, the economic and the financial side of our lives. If you take any part of that, what I want you to do right now, and I actually believe that we're all in a little bit different space in life. Some of us are, excelling in our health. Some of us are excelling financially. Some of us are excelling in our relationships. But sometimes just one area of our life is really shining. I want you to pick that part. I want you to think about the part that you're doing so well today. Things that are going so great. And let's just say it's the business. Maybe it's the fact that you prospect consistently. Maybe it's the fact that you're, making sure you're up early and you're practicing and you're rehearsing and internalizing different scripts and dialogues. Maybe you're making sure you're calling your sphere. You're doing the amount of prospecting you need to do. You have an array of both buyers and sellers, and you have a very balanced business, and you're really excited about the future despite, the low inventory, despite the challenges of the market. Things are going really, really well for you. So here's then the question. What got you to this point? See, when we look at the business, the challenge of the business, what I'm hoping for you is not the fact that the market has gotten better, not that the rates are down, not that the fact that maybe there's a ton of real estate being sold. That's not the reason that you're doing better. You're not doing better because the market got better. You're doing better because there was distinct things that you've personally done that have gotten you to get better, right? There's things that you have improved upon, things you've done better in your career, things in the way in which you've communicated, the mindset you have, the beliefs that you have, because you've chosen to get better. See, the great tragedy is that we're going to come, having done this nearly 30 years, You're going to find in this business that there's highs and lows, good and bad times. Well, look, the question really then is can you do business in good times and bad times? Can you do business in the bad times and the good times? Well, so much of that is how we shape and how we develop and how we create the right infrastructure, the right platform, the right foundation for our business. So ask yourself, what is the foundation that you've put in place for your business? What got you to this point? How have you become successful? Or maybe you're that agent who's struggling and you're wondering how it is that you've gotten yourself to this point. Maybe there isn't enough money at the end of the month. Maybe there's a great struggle economically. Maybe you're having to say no way too often to your children or to your spouse or your partner when you really want to be able to say yes to the things that you want to do. The reality is that so much of it has to do with the philosophies and the decisions that we make every single day. So I hope that you'll take the time. I hope that you'll take a moment to reflect. Look, I've said this for years. Earl Nightingale said it best, and he said this: the problem with the world today is simply this, that we simply don't think. So look, take the time to think. What got you here, right? This isn't a beat up session. This isn't a time to beat the heck out of yourself. It's a time of reflection. It's a time to just take a moment and ask yourself, if things are going really well, how will you repeat them? How will you continue with them? How will you improve upon them? How will you get better? How will you improve from yesterday to today to tomorrow? Well, look, that has a lot to do with how you shape your life, how you institute your business, and how you put it together. I remember when I was about 15 years old, I sat on sat on the end of a bench in a basketball game. And I have to tell you, I mean, my basketball saga or, dynasty of days, which was really nothing to be talking about. But I remember I played at a high school. Some of you are certainly familiar with it, at Skyline High School in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I played, and here's what it was interesting. In my 9th grade year, I had all my friends, all of us played basketball all the time. And in my 9th grade year, I didn't make the team. In fact, in fairness, I was not good at all. And then that really spurred me on to saying, you know what, enough. I am going to make it, and I'm going to make this basketball team. So what did I do? I started doing things. I started practicing. I started running. I started conditioning. I started playing with the best player on the team at that time. Over and over and over and over again, I would play. Well, gang, I have to tell you that it really was a wake-up call. Guess what? I went to the tryout in October of when I was 15 years old. It was my sophomore year. I was nervous. I didn't know if I would make it. I didn't make it the year before. And all of a sudden, I'm out there on the court. I'm shooting free throws, making a few baskets. And lo and behold, the tryouts are over and done, and my name is on the list, and I make the team. So that was a really exciting time. It was a really important time for me personally. And I can remember how fulfilling it was. And I want you to think about moments in your life where you've been, fulfilled or even surprised, and you're so excited at the pathway and the future and the journey your life is taking. Well, at 15 years old, that was one of those moments for me in my life. Well, look, as I took a step back and as I started to, make the team, I had a few games where I had the game of a lifetime. For me, it was absolutely incredible. In fact, at the time, we were pretty good rivals. We went over to Brighton High School, and as a sophomore, I, for some reason, went on fire, meaning I was shooting anywhere and everywhere, and no matter what, I was making it. And I can still remember to this day, I scored 16 points in that game against Brighton High School. And it went down to a nail-biting last-minute shot, and we ended up losing the game. But then this is what happened. I had a little bit of success. I had a little bit of good fortune. I had a little bit of success in the game of basketball. So, of course, what happened? The coaches saw it. They thought, man, this is a good kid. He's going to have some progress. He's going to have some possibilities here. Let's get him on the JV team. So all of a sudden, here I am. I'm on the bench of the JV team. I find myself actually in the JV game. I even get to suit for varsity as a sophomore. And I am so happy and excited about where I am. And here's the interesting part of it. And I think that you can relate to this because I think we all go through this in different moments of our life. So the season came and went. It was a great season. I had some success. I had a few games I played in. And even though I was suited up for JV and got to sit there on the bench, even on the varsity games, you know what? What was interesting is the season went on, I started playing less and less. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't realize that there was a problem. So the summer came. Obviously, the spring came, basketball season's over, school's over, summer's all about. And all I do, of course, like probably a lot of teenagers, I just played around, goofed around, and didn't do much. And I waited for the next season, and all of a sudden, I dusted off the basketball shoes, put them on, started playing a little bit of ball, thought I was going to make the team. Well, here's what really happened. I actually went to the basketball tryout, and I tried out, and I tried out, and I was trying out. And the whole week of the tryouts, things seemed like they were going well. Then I got pulled into the coach's office. There were 4 of us sitting there. He sat down with all 4 of us at the same time. He said, only 2 of you will be here in a week. We're going to have you practice with the team. And I was just like, what are we talking about? I was the guy suited for JV. I was the guy who scored 16 points against Brighton High School. I was the guy who had arrived. Think about that for a minute. Have you arrived? Have you thought you've arrived and you've gotten there and you've achieved everything you need to achieve and you have the money and you have maybe everything that you think you want at this moment? And then all of a sudden you turn around and you realize, wait a second, what happened? Again, what got you to that point? Well, you know what? I didn't realize that then as a young man. I have to tell you, I practiced with the team for about a week. And what ended up happening, of course, you know the end result. I was one of the 4 or one of the 2 out of the 4 who got cut. And I was just flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that I was cut. George Morris, cut from the basketball team. Well, I have to tell you, that ticked me off. And you know what? Sometimes anger is a great fuel. And I have to tell you that that moment I made a decision that I was going to make the team and that I was going to make sure that the coach knew that I was the better player. So what did I do? The very thing that got me starting on the sophomore team, made the team on the sophomore team, the very same thing that got my way in regards to suiting up for JV, sitting there on the bench on varsity as a sophomore. Life was great. What did I do? I started practicing. I started doing drills. I started getting the right conditioning. I started doing all the things that you know you're supposed to do to make a team. Senior year comes along. Remember, sophomore team, I made it. Junior year, I get cut. Senior team, this is my senior year. So what do? I work my tail off. And I have to tell you, I mean, this is just my own little fantasy. I think I was the best on the court at that point. There was only one other guy who went up and played at the University of Utah, dear friend of mine, Ryan Hunt. Some of you may know him, even though he played there with Rick Majerus. And the 2 of us, man, we would go head to head and battling it out. Well, guess what? I made the team. And then I did something really stupid. After I made the team, I said, my little ego got in the way and I said, I'm not going to play. As crazy as that is, I actually backed away. I sabotaged all of my success and walked away from playing ball. It was the most bizarre thing. Still this day, I sit there and scratch my head going, what was I thinking? Why didn't my parents say something? But who knows? I'm not even quite sure. But what I do know is this, and it's the same principle I'm trying to share with you. There are things that have gotten you to a certain point. There is success that you have had to a certain point. There are things that you have practiced, rehearsed, internalized. You have improved your mindset, skill sets, personal disciplines. You've had good fortune. Deals have come your way. Opportunities have come your way. Now the question is, are you continuing to take advantage of them? Are you continuing to do the things that got you to this point if you're having success? Are there things that you're doing that got you to this point that will continue your success? Gang, look, let me just share with you. It doesn't matter whether it is whether it's you spiritually, whether it is for you with your family, whether it's in relationship to your business, whether it's in relationship to your health, in relationship to your friendships. Look, everything over time, listen to me closely here, everything over time gets off track. So if that's the case, I'm not here to say that I have it all figured out. There's never going to be a moment that you'll ever hear me state these words. I have arrived. No way. Because the arrival isn't just the good fortune of economics. The arrival is the full and the complete and the whole person. Because this business, this life is about who we become. It is not about how much money you make. That will not be put on your graveside or your stone that sits at the head of your head underneath the earth, or whatever you choose to do, however you choose to be buried. It's not going to be there. People are going to talk about how much money you made. They're going to talk about who you were. They're going to talk about the difference you made. They're going to talk about the friend you were, the parent you were, the mother you were, the father you were. They're going to talk about the depth of the relationship. And did they really get to know you and who you are and what you're about and what your life is? Look, gang, it's a simple business in life. Life can be very simple, but man, do we have the capacity to complicate it. I want you to really, again, think about what I'm saying. What got you to this point? Now, look, if you're having tremendous success in one area of your life, as I mentioned, now let's just for a moment turn our focus to the things that are not going so well. We all have them. We all struggle at moments, right? It's really easy to talk about this stuff. I'm not here to point a finger at what your mistakes are, the blame of your, or the challenges of your misfortune. It's not what this is about. What this is about is that there are things that we have all done as we take personal responsibility for our lives. There are things that we have done in our lives that have gotten us to a certain point. So if you are failing, if you are losing, if you are not winning at a particular part of your life, then just simply ask the question, what got me here? Not the question of why me? Why is this happening? That is not great leadership. And so several years ago, I don't remember how many years ago, could have been 5 or 10 years ago, I remember, man, there was parts of my life that I was failing in. Failing. I wasn't winning, failing. So I asked the question, what got me to this point? So for you, if there's an area of your life that is not as productive as you would like it, you're not having as much success as you would like in a particular area of your life, maybe it's your health, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's the business, maybe it's the relationship with yourself, maybe it's your relationship with your creator, maybe it's the relationship with your children, a spouse, a partner, a lover, a friend. But look, take a step back and ask yourself the question, when it's not working the way that you want it to work, when life is not moving the direction that you want it to move, what got you to this point? Well, you know the answer. What's going to be unfolded to you, what is going to be revealed to you is pretty simple, gang. It's going to be this. It's going to be your ability to manufacture the right answers and the diagnosis, if you would say, from the sickness. You need to rewrite a new prescription, a prescription that brings you to a place where you're on the right track. Look, there's nothing about this life that you can't learn. There's nothing about this life that you can't do. So if that's the case, then when it comes to your business or your most sacred and precious relationships of your life, or how about your own health and vitality and your existence on this planet, ask yourself, truly ask yourself, what do you need to do to become who you want to become, right? To become the father you want to become, the mother you want to become, the friend that you want to become, right? Maybe something spiritually, religiously for you in your life. Maybe there's something in regards to your health and your vitality. Gang, there's just rules. Look, you don't, look, I've played this game long enough, as I'm sure many of you have. You don't have to be overweight. You don't have to be unhealthy. Those are choices that we make in regards to our vitality. They're choices that we make in regards to our well-being, our health, the weight that we are, the endurance that we have. Look, the days of excuses and saying, well, I'm this or I'm that, and really, George, you don't understand. No, I do understand. And I'm not here to tell you that life isn't tough at times. I'm not here to tell you that it can't be a battle. I'm not here to tell you that there won't be struggle. I'm not here to tell you that it'll always be easy. But what I am here to tell you is that as you take personal responsibility for every area of your life and every action that you take, every morsel of food you put into your body, right? Every moment of exercise that you put out, every prospecting call you make, every door you may knock on, every sphere of influence you call, every mastery of a presentation that you, masterful presentation that you give, and the mastery of those presentations that you work on. Those are all decisions and activities that you choose to do. Now, look, it is up to you. It is not up to me. It is not up to anyone next to you. It's not up to, anyone but you to change the course and the path to getting the results that you want out of your life. And that's all that I'm asking of you. I'm not asking you to do something bizarre and strange. I'm asking you to do the one thing I will ask of everyone, and I ask of myself, to become your very best. So I want you to think about that for a moment. Becoming your very best, your best health, your best relationships, and being the person you need to be in them, and your best in regards to this business. So when we take a step back and we go back and we say, okay, what got me to this point? What got you to this point was decisions and actions that you took. No one else. And you may say, well, wait, George, you know what? But the market, wait, the lack of inventory. And you know what? There's days where it's too much inventory, or the high rates, the low rates, the other agents, the brokers, your friends, your family, all the distractions. Life is tough. All of them are great excuses. All of them. I won't even use the word excuses. That might even offend some of you. I'm just saying they're all great reasons. And you're justified. And people will put their arm around you and go, oh, Sally, Molly, Bobby, Billy, you know what? It's so tough. You're right. You're right. I'm going to let you off the hook. You know what? You don't need to become all that you're capable of becoming. You don't need to give your best. It's okay. But is that really the life that you want to live? Is that really the life that you're signing up for? Is that really the life that you want to have? A life of mediocrity, complacency, just getting by and hoping that real estate will be sold? Is that really what you're engaged in? Is there going to be a day where you take a stand and you say, no more, no more, no more will I be this because it does not align with who I desire to be? Whatever that is, because I'm here to tell you, I'm not here to tell you what that needs to be, but I am here to challenge you that you declare what it's going to be, that you don't live a life of regret, that you don't live a life of disappointment. Right? Here's the deal, guys. It's going to be tough. To become your very best will be a challenge. The best that you could be at prospecting, the best that you could be at giving a presentation, the best that you could be in regards to your health and your vitality and your energy, the best that you could be in regards to how you relate to one another, how you relate to another human being, how you relate to any person on earth is not easy. I'm not here to tell you that it's easy. And people will put their arm around you and tell you it's okay to be mediocre. They will let you off the hook because they want to be compassionate. They want to be empathetic. They want to be sympathetic. They want to love you. They want to love on you. They want to tell you that it's okay. But is it? Is it okay? I want you to really think about that for a moment. Is it okay? That's only for you to decide. Now, you can say today after you get off this, and maybe some of you have already checked out on me. I hope not. But look, you have the world before you. You have this amazing earth that has been created for you to create whatever you choose to create. And you can live in all of this scarcity. You can live in all of these excuses. You can live behind all the political reasons you can't succeed. You can live behind all of the ways in which you were raised and how difficult your life was and how you were abused and how you were hurt and how you didn't have someone who loved you and how you were poor and how you didn't have enough and how negative your life was and how difficult it was. And so therefore, because of that, well, this is why your life is what it is. Now, for some of you, you've taken that as energy to help you flow into a greater state of being. And for some of you, you've used it as an excuse as to why you are not wealthy, an excuse as to why you are not in optimum health, an excuse as to why you don't have the relationships that you so deeply desire. So look, today, I've always said this, and I'll wrap up with this. I've always said, I would love to put on the back, and I've never done it because, it started with a little story with my son, Isaac, and we had just gotten a brand new boat. And I can still remember, here's my little guy. He's about 9 or 10 years old, or maybe even 8 or 9, but he's just this little great athlete. He's a monster now, but he's out there in the water. We're down in Lake Powell, Utah, if you know where that is, or Arizona, I guess it is, and we're down there in the lake, and we're just kind of figuring out this wakeboarding thing. And he's out there in the lake, and I'm still kind of figuring out how to drive the boat. And, all of a sudden I'm trying to pull him out of the water and he falls down and flips over. And we keep doing this over and over again. And then he starts blaming me. Well, Dad, it's because you pulled me out too fast. Dad, you pulled me out too slow. Dad, there was a wake that came over my head and I wasn't able to, the water wasn't, calm. The water was too choppy. All these excuses. And I can still remember, I will never forget right where we are. We're around these white rocks, blue skies. And I remember yelling at him out of the boat on the side of the boat. And I yelled out, "No excuses." And so I've always had this imagery. I'm like, I would love to have on the back of our boat, "No excuses." Because the fact is that, look, I make excuses at times in my life. You make excuses. My son, when he was 8 or 9 or 10 years old, whatever old he was at that time, was making excuses. But isn't there a moment in your life where you want to just take a step back and just say, enough? Don't care what comes at me. Don't care what happens. Don't care. I'm not going to take interest in what others are doing, how they're complaining, how they're whining. I'm not going to pay attention to what's going on politically. I'm not going to get involved in all the things I have no control over. Now, look, you want to do certain things to be entertained is one thing. You want to do things that are going to destroy your mental psyche and your future. Start paying attention to everything outside of you. If you can take on this idea of no more excuses, taking on personal responsibility and recognizing you don't need to give excuses. And look, there's going to be lots again of people who are going to put their arm around you and go, "It's okay. You know what? I can see it's going to be really tough for you to succeed. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough." You know what? The last 4 or 5 years have been really tough for me personally. Health stuff, business stuff, relationship stuff. It's all been tough. Yesterday, Jennifer and I had a little laugh. We looked at a picture from about 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't have a single gray hair in my body. But you know what? Wouldn't change a thing for it, because there was a declaration that was made, and that is no excuses, none. Taking responsibility for my life, taking responsibility for where I am economically, where I am physically, where I am in my relationships. That's my control. That's in my ability to decide where I'm going to head. And I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you fiercely. Look, become your very best. Stop making excuses and stop allowing yourself to give the excuses of the market's this, the market's that, rates here, mortgage lender doing this, broker did that, friend did this, inventory's low, tons of buyers out there, stop it. Stop it now. Stop allowing yourself to excuse yourself from being great, being extraordinary, being above average, being absolutely amazing. No more excuses. There's areas of your life that you have shown that you are exceptional. Just yesterday, one of my dear friends, and she said, I am in the best shape of my life. Wow, pretty impressive. So here's the thing. Her and you and others, all of us, have examples and evidence in our lives that have shown us that we can win the game of life, whether that be with our health, our relationships, or our business. You have examples in your life where you have overcome, where you stop listening to your voice in your head that excuses you from the greatness that is possible. You have it within you to accomplish all that you desire. So look, this is not just a one little, song or one little deal. This is not just get rich and let's excuse ourselves from health and from the relationships we deeply desire in life. It's about the whole package. It's about becoming the whole of who you're capable of becoming. It's not just one thing. It's not just one angle. It's not just, well, they're really wealthy. Okay, so you're the top of the mountain with all of the wealth and the abundance, but you're completely unfulfilled in your relationships. That is the ultimate failure, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just one angle. It's not just one part of your life. It's not just one thing. It's having the ability, to spin the plates, balance or juggle the balls of life. Yep, the whole deal. Not just one part, not just a little part, not just a small angle of it, all of it. Why? Because you're capable of. Because there is nothing you cannot do and there is nothing you cannot learn. And you are capable of becoming not my best, not someone else's best, your best. Your very, very, very best. Guys, I've told this story for a lot of years, but just imagine two of you walking down the street. Look, I got two names in front of me. I'm just going to use them. I've got, Mike Hancock and Jeremy Laguerre sitting right there. And all I know is that Jeremy's a great lover of hiking the outdoors, and Mike's out there. And let's just say they're walking down a trail in the mountains. You've heard this from me if you've been around me. You're walking down the trail in the mountains. All of a sudden, man, a big grizzly bear jumps out of the woods, starts running towards the two of you. Well, at that moment, all that matters is that one of them outruns the other. And as long as Mike outruns Jeremy, he's going to be okay. And if you're living your life that way, shame on you. Yep, you can compete, but I'm going to challenge you to go out and create. You can compete, but go create. Your life is not what did I do in relationship to what did everyone else do. That's not the life you're trying to live. It's what did you do in comparison to what you could have done. That's living. That's truly a leader who is trying to become their very best. Not what did I do in comparison to everybody else. What did I do in comparison to what I could have done? That is the ultimate measuring stick. So again, it's not just your wealth. It's not just your health. And it is not just your relationships. I want you to have it all. And I am here to tell you that that means you're part of the 1%, because most people will settle. Most people will give up. And most people will excuse themselves from pushing, moving, driving, awakening, and becoming conscious in their lives. With that, guys, we are out of time. I hope that you'll attend the Elevate today. If you haven't gotten signed up, reach out to Judy Forden or Lindsay Wardle. And look, it's going to be a great event. And man, if you haven't figured out, I am fired up and I am ready to kick butt this week. I hope that you are too. Let's have a great week and let's finish up with some great affirmations. Hopefully I can talk and say them